Hey, this is Pranay from Bears Illustrated, the 247 Sports Baylor page. I'm here with Brent Young from the Bearcat Journal, which is the 247 Sports Cincinnati page. Thanks for doing this, Brent.
Hey man, no doubt, no doubt. Whenever I can get connections with a future future foe but friend, hopefully, in the Big 12, I'm more than happy to come on and give some words of wisdom about the old Cincinnati Bearcats.
Yeah, very excited to see Cincinnati come to the Big 12 in a year or two, and thought this would be really cool to do with Luke Fickell's contract extension announced yesterday.
Yeah, I it's a big time in Cincinnati. Obviously we were a little down following the weekend. It was a weekend where, of course, the basketball team lost on Saturday night to Tulsa, a game that a lot of people thought we team probably should have won, and then all of a sudden the Super Bowl on Sunday night, another Cincinnati loss. So we were all down in the dumps, and then all of a sudden Justin Williams of the Athletic. Good friend of mine, was able to spread a little sunshine on everybody on Valentine's Day and release the details of Luke Fickell's contract extension, and it's kind of big at this point, because obviously it's a situation where you're heading into the Big 12. You have numerous other situations just coming off a college football playoff appearance where you kind of know a lot of places are going for Luke. They're going to try and poach him away as much as they possibly can. So it's a time where you have to take a step back and say, hey, we need to extend Luke, and John Cunningham did exactly that, and here we are now. It's a big time momentum heading into the Big 12, and of course just in the next season as well.
Yeah, definitely great news for Cincinnati fans after losing the Super Bowl. It seems like an offensive line holding a team back is kind of a constant in Cincinnati these days.
Oh man, it's a trend, if you will. But you know what? Just work on getting it better, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. Um, and how comfortable are you with this Fickle extension? It's about $5 million a year, and they expanded the staff pool. I think about to 5.2 million by a million and a
Yep.
half.
Yep.
How confident are you that he'll stay through most of, if not all, of this contract?
That's the main thing about Luke, is that he's a man of his word. He constantly says, everything I want to accomplish, I think I can accomplish it here at Cincinnati. Why can't you accomplish it here at Cincinnati? And he countlessly tells recruits that, tells his staff that. It's like, hey guys, I mean, we have the resources, we have everything we need right here. Why not? Let's be different. Let's try and go out and succeed and fight and compete for championships. And so what this contract only does is just further validate that. The coolest thing about this extension to me was that John Cunningham came into his office after like week 7 and put the envelope down on Luke's desk and said, Luke, we need to talk. And Luke said, hey, I'm sorry, I'm in the middle of a season. I really appreciate that. I'm pretty sure I know what that is, but we need to hold off until the end of the year because I'm focusing on winning games and competing for championships. So, it's just that kind of laser focus, that shutter vision. And he always constantly says he lives under a rock, and he means it. Every time that reporters ask him about, what did you think about college football playoff poll? What did you think about your guys' current ranking and this or that, or things of that sort? He literally means it when he says, I don't know anything about that. We're just focused on winning games. And so the fact that he just signed this after the season, he was able to, sit down with Cunningham again and was able to just figure everything out and say, yeah, let's keep doing it. To be honest, I'm confident. I was confident even when the USC and LSU and Notre Dame jobs came open, just because he has constantly said that. He's turned down numerous, people trying to say, hey, Notre Dame job just opened. What are your thoughts on that? And he said, to be honest with you, they can reach out to me, but I'm going to tell them, listen, we're trying to win a championship. I can talk to you afterwards, but for right now, we're really focused on winning a championship. So it's really that laser focus. And then, of course, now part of the contract as well is just the reassurance that a football only facility, practice facility, and everything of that sort will be built and that's already underway. It's already, funding and everything of that is underway. So, it's just kind of the building blocks of each thing, and he's building this program into something bigger than a lot of people ever thought it would get. So, I I'm confident, to be honest with you, because he's making the big money now. He's having the ability to, stay at a location with a big family that his family loves being at. His son plays on the team. There's just so many factors that are tied into the fact that he mentions how much he loves Cincinnati, loves being here, recruits unbelievably well here. And I believe him. The players believe him, recruits believe him. So he has not given me any other reason to not be confident.
Yeah, I'm sure Cincinnati fans are very glad to hear that. Especially after the last time it seemed like Cincinnati was going to be a powerhouse was with Brian Kelly, and then immediately he took off to Notre Dame. So this is great news. And then on the assistant coach side, this season Cincinnati had a few guys leave. One was Perry
Mhm.
Oleano to Ohio State. You also had
Yep.
your offensive coordinator go to
Yep.
LSU.
Yep.
Do you think this increase in the staff pool will help you guys retain assistant coaches and maybe bring in some more assistant coaches that would have gone to other schools in the past?
Yeah. Yeah. There's no doubt about that. You mentioned, Mike Denbrock down to LSU. Perry Eliano is a phenomenal coach. He's a really good recruiter. He's going to eventually probably get a defensive coordinator job and possibly a head coaching job down the line too. You look a couple years back, and it was Marcus Freeman going to Notre Dame. Now he's the head coach at Notre Dame. So what Luke also preaches, just having that core of coaching, and that unit that's able to carry over from year to year. And so what the additional money in the assistant pool does is not only does it have the ability to talk to coaches within the program already and say, hey, we're gonna bump you up a little bit in your salary. Just like this past season, he gave a couple of titles to different coaches. Colin Hitchler is co-defensive coordinator. You have Mike Brown is the wide receivers coach, but he's also the passing game coordinator. Just kind of just titles that give them the ability to probably take in a little bit more money. So, it's huge. And the fact that once a coach does decide, maybe a huge opportunity opens up for one of the coaches, and it's very hard to pass up. But they end up taking it, and they do leave. Now you have a little bit more money to go after a bigger name, and say, "Hey, come join us. Let's we can pay you just as much, or within the same ballpark of these other big programs." So it's that assistant pool is massive, especially because Luke said he wants to take care of his assistants first before himself. In another situation where Luke's one of a kind when it comes to that. He wants to have his assistants be happy before he even worries about himself. And because he knows he's going to get it all squared away for him. But once his assistants are happy, he's able to build that unity and that bond among the core of them. And that's how he's been able to keep a lot of the coaches that he has currently on the staff.
And I think that is a great sign of a coach who wants to stay with the program. We saw Jim Harbaugh do that with Michigan last year, and he
Mm-hmm.
clearly decided not to go to the NFL. So
Right.
that is a good sign. One last question about coaching: if the Ohio State job were to open up for some reason, do you think that Fickell would take off and go to Ohio State?
Yet again, it's just a question I don't want to think about, to be honest. It's another
Can't blame you.
situation that, yeah, it's because okay, so the thought around Fickle was that he had a handful of jobs that, if they opened up, it would be a chance of him leaving, a chance of the offer being too hard to resist, and one of those was thought to be Notre Dame, and Notre Dame opened up this past season. Luke was just every time he was asked about it, was just constantly reminded everyone that he's got a championship to play for right now. We're preparing for the AAC championship, the conference championship, and then of course, if we get to move on from there, hopefully the college football playoff, and everything past that. So, if Ohio State opened up, I consider them in that small pool of dream schools. Obviously, he went there, huge ties there. He's an Ohio guy through and through. He's got a Buckeye O tattooed on his calf. He's a guy that he's an Ohio guy, but it's a situation where he will take a step back, look at both options, and really weigh the pros and cons. And I mean, if he thinks it's best for his family and everything that he has going on to go to Ohio State, then I think he'll go. But if not, if he does take a step back and says, "Hey, I'm building something massive here, and I want to keep riding with this," and maybe he likes kind of the feel that Cincinnati brings, in that in a bigger city with professional teams there as well, and all that brings along with it. There's certain things that might just sway him to stay, but luckily I don't have to think about that. I think Ryan Day survived the Chicago Bears rumors and all those other things that were getting tossed around about Day potentially heading to the NFL. So I think at least for another year we're good to rock, we're good to roll. So I also think the Big 12 thing is massive because it gives Luke the feel that it's big time football from here on out. He's going to get the facilities. He's getting everything that he's asked so far, and he seems very happy in the situation he's in. When Ohio State opens up, we'll have another one of these sit downs. But for now, I'll be happy with that extension through 2028.
Yeah, long extension.
Yeah.
And
really
Luke Fickell signing that extension with Cincinnati getting ready to move to the Big 12, with the increase in the staff pool, hopefully bringing in assistant coaches. What do you think this does for Cincinnati recruiting?
Oh, it's huge because it's a situation where, first off, when you go and you talk to these recruits, you have to think the past 2 or 3 years, it's always been, oh yeah, Luke Fickell's doing a great job there. He's building something special in Cincinnati, but he's going to leave. He's going to go after, a big time school. The first great opening he gets, first good offer he gets, he's going to take that. That has to be what opposing coaches were telling these recruits when they were going, against Cincinnati 1-1. But now they don't have that in their back pocket. They don't have the ability to say, look, he's going to leave. He's going to leave because right now Luke's kept his word to all the recruits, telling them that he's going to stay. He's going to be at Cincinnati. Don't worry. This, that, and the other. So that piece of it is just another additional part to, of course, coming off a college football playoff appearance, going to the Big 12, everything that comes with going to the Big 12. It just all ties into what's already been a very strong recruiting push within the past few seasons. They set records for greatest recruiting class in program history year after year after year. And it just seems like it's going to continue down that way, especially this season. They're offering some big fish in the 2023 class. They're really going after, kind of striking the iron when it's hot ordeal, pushing the Big 12, pushing recent success, pushing Coach Fickell, who's considered coach of the year by pretty much every syndicate you can look up. And just, once that continues to ride the wave, once you get 1 or 2 or 3 big names to commit, they see, okay, yeah, let's go ahead there. Let's head to Cincinnati. It seems like that's the hot thing right now, and it's been working for them. They've got a really good class already committed for 2023. They signed another really good class in 2022, so it's rolling. It's definitely rolling.
Yeah, definitely. And I was looking at the recruiting rankings for the past few years and comparing it to the new Big 12 teams. I think Cincinnati would have been like 4th or 5th,
right,
out of all the teams,
right.
which is great for a team that didn't even have Power 5 resources, and now they'll have those resources.
Yeah, and especially when you talk to the other players like recruits and whatnot, you say, look at a Sauce Gardner who came in as a 3-star, or Desmond Ritter who was lowly rated 3-star, 2-star by some, and see what we were able to do with them, how we were able to build them and develop them. And so imagine if you come in a highly ranked 4-star or a mid 4-star or a high ranked 3-star. You say we can develop you into what we were able to do with them. You've already got a leg up as far as you were great and evaluated great, but we can push you to that next level, get you to the NFL, especially if as many players get drafted as they expect to have drafted. That's just another thing that you can add to the mix of coming to Cincinnati. We can turn you into an NFL player. You can compete for championships and play in the Big 12. So It's a lot going for him.
You think that'll bring in Texas recruits too, up to?
It is weird to think about that because you think Big 12, you immediately think it'll dip down into Texas, and you got to have a presence there because you're going to be there a lot. I haven't seen much of an effect yet, but because there's so many hands in that pot already.
Yeah.
But I mean, you play down there a couple times a year. Once you're in the Big 12, and I don't see why not being able to branch out and start to look for some players that you might think. I mean, like they've got Drew Donnelly is a wide receiver from Texas. He's put up really good workout numbers so far this off season. I think yeah, they could potentially continue to try and push that pipeline, but right now they're just hammering the ones that they've already built up to this point.
Gotcha. Any other ramifications you can think of about the Fickell extension or the move to the new Big 12?
Not much other than he when he first got his old extension, he was pushing a new locker room. He was able to get the new locker room set up, and they're currently working on that and getting that going. Then the project was, they want a football only facility and practice facility as well, and that's pushing for that as well. So, not only is it like a bid to the type of person that Luke Fickell is, it's the commitment of the university and the president and the athletic director John Cunningham just coming together and saying, hey, we realize how special Luke Fickell is. We want Luke Fickell to be here as long as possible. Let's continue to do the things that it takes to keep Luke here, and then the money will come after that. And I think it's gonna eventually just pay off in every way you can possibly think of when it comes to the university. And Luke being here, I mean, it's a very big deal that I think fans are starting to realize just how big it is. So it's awesome. Absolutely awesome.
Yeah. And another big deal that we heard about yesterday is Baylor signing a contract extension with Dave Aranda through I think 2029. That certainly has ramifications on the new Big 12. What do you think that this means? What do you think the Fickell, the Aranda, even the Dana Holgerson, all these extensions mean for the Big 12 in the years to come?
It means that people are committing to the new Big 12. When you take away Texas and Oklahoma, there was, of course, just a chatter about, oh, those are, you're taking away the Big 12 from the Big 12. And, when all of a sudden you see these big name coaches like, turning down Miami, turning down these other talks that they were supposedly in the mix for, and staying with these schools and, kind of taking not really the Luke Fickell approach, but more the approach that I can get everything done here that I can get done anywhere else. I'm gonna stamp myself here, continue riding what we've been able to do, and I mean even Matt Campbell at Iowa State, he's had numerous opportunities to take a look at somewhere else that might be able to give him a little bit more money or better location or things of that sort. But it's just kind of that commitment to the new Big 12, the commitment that is going to be still not only a fantastic basketball conference, but it's going to be a top of the line football conference. And adding these teams with coaches that are already fully locked in, fully engaged, it's going to be huge. I think it's just a buy-in from all sorts, and I think it's just going to be continuation of what the Big 12 has been up to this point, just a really good football conference, and one that's going to only get better when you add in these teams and their coaches that are locked in as well.
For sure. Money-wise, they might not be at the level of the other Power 5 conferences in the first few years, even behind the ACC and the Pac-12. But I think competitiveness-wise, they'll still be ahead of the Pac-12 and probably still ahead of the ACC outside maybe Clemson.
Yeah. Oh, I completely agree. Because, I mean, you look at the Pac-12, they're kind of that forgotten conference out there. Chris Ball going to Miami is big against that conference as well, because he had Oregon kind of starting to trend back towards the force they used to be. And I don't know. I think the ACC is kind of rough, other than, like you said, Clemson. I mean, even you look at Wake Forest this year, had a phenomenal season, but not much to show for it other than, they looked good on offense for a long time. But I don't know. I think the Big 12 positions itself right behind the Big Ten and the SEC immediately. I definitely do.
Yeah, I think so too. Pac-12 got Lincoln Riley, obviously, and they have Utah
Right.
rising, but other than that, there isn't much going on.
No, not at all. Not at all. Lincoln Riley's a big pick because
Oh, for sure.
he seems to be picking whoever he wants and getting them to come to USC. So that might be one to look out for. But as a whole, I think 2026 down the line, we'll come back, we'll talk, and we'll be the Big 12's moving and grooving with these big name schools. I mean, Baylor, of course, is a team that has been good in the past and is on the rise. Had a good season this year. And I think that once you have stability and you're able to keep things locked in on the path that they are, the upward trajectory just continues going up.
Yeah, definitely. Baylor, we had a terrific season this year, and Dave Aranda seems like a perfect fit for
He does.
Baylor. He seems like he wants to stay for a long time. He said that those exact words. He said, "I want to be there for a very long time." And if he does, and I think that it could be Baylor and it could be a Cincinnati at the top of the Big 12 for years to come with these coaches and with these recruiting pipelines. What do you think?
Yeah.
Who do you think will be the standout teams in that conference?
Oh man, yeah, I think they'll always be up there. Oklahoma State's always knocking on the door up there, and I don't think they'll take a step back. I mean, they might even just keep pushing with Oklahoma heading out. Might be more of that. I have a lot of kids that maybe want to play in the Big 12. They've always thought about the Big 12. They don't want to go to the SEC and play, but I think I mean Houston is an interesting one because they've kind of pumped a lot of resources into that. With whether they're able to continue in that path or not, we'll see. I mean, even like another new addition in UCF,
Oh yeah.
that's one of the bigger schools in the country that has tons of resources, but kind of just never was able to have the stage to kind of truly show what they can do. It might take them some years, but they've got the money down there to kind of make some noise. But aside from that, Baylor, Iowa State, Kansas State's always good. TCU's always good. I mean I don't know. I think it's going to be one of those where I mean take a look. All the top schools in the Big 12 this year, Oklahoma was riding that wave for a while, but once they lost a couple, it was all schools that are still going to be there. 2023 pass. So I'm not at all nervous about who's going to be continuing there and who'll be at the top because I think it's going to be a very competitive league right away.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's gonna be very fun to watch. TCU, I could definitely see doing some damage.
Yeah, why not? I mean, the new fresh coach they got past the Patterson area. We'll see what happens. Could be
Yeah, Sonny,
exciting.
Sonny Dyke seems like a good
Sonny
pickup.
Dykes, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I mean he had SMU humming for a little bit.
yeah,
Um, got some good transfers, can recruit. Obviously, has some name recognition within himself. So I don't see why not. I mean, if he can do half of what he did at SMU with the new Big 12 logo next to his school name, I think he'll be able to do pretty all right. Okay.
if Baylor and Cincinnati played this past season, what do you think that matchup would have looked like, and who do you think would have won?
Um, I if you follow any of my stuff, wherever listen to a podcast that I do, I they call me the eternal optimist. I was a guy who went into the Alabama game who, I ignored all of the avenues that showed that Alabama was better, and I kind of only hung on to the ones about Cincinnati and really went into the game feeling confident. Not that, they were going to win by a bunch or anything like that, that it was going to be close until the end. And, when you have the third winning quarterback of all time calling the shots, I think that then there at the end, he's going to find a way to win you the football game. So um, I think it would be a good game if it was Baylor versus Cincinnati. But the homer in me would pick Cincinnati. I think that there was only a couple of teams, only a handful of teams, Alabama and Georgia, who could definitely beat Cincinnati 9 out of 10 times. With Baylor, it could be like a 6-4 or a 7-3 in my eyes. I just thought that the defense that Cincinnati had was really elite the offensive line at times truly struggled, but they were able to get enough push at times and enough protection to have success against, Notre Dame on the road and against these other teams that kind of, were posing a threat. And then you face an Alabama who has a defensive line that's next level. So um, I'd take Cincy. And I'm sure you'd maybe take Baylor.
I would take Baylor. I actually read your article, your preview for the Baylor Alabama game. I mean the Cincinnati Alabama game, and it was
Yeah,
optimistic, but you had some good points. Like the corners shut down the passing game. They shut
they
down
did.
Bryce Young and Jamison Williams. Um,
Right.
but I think that Baylor would use the same formula that Alabama used, essentially running the ball behind that great offensive line with Abram
Right.
Smith, who's a bruiser and has vision.
Hmm.
And then I think that our defensive line would dominate Cincinnati's offensive line. You guys like
Right.
this year, you guys were just kind of small, and
We
maybe
were.
the move to the Power Five could fix that recruiting wise.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And, we've got a new coach coming in, Mike Cummings, offensive line coach from Central Michigan. He has developed some monsters along his offensive line during his time with the Chippewas. And he comes in and he's got a whole new outlook on it. Ron Crook was a great coach. He was the former offensive line coach, but this is kind of a different feel to it with Cummings coming in, and you can kind of sense that there's going to be a trend towards getting these big guys, long arms, and just going out there and then developing them into what you want to do as far as offensively, and then of course telling them, hey, you've got a future in the NFL as well after this. Look at all these guys that I've been able to build up from really nothing into now currently NFL players. So yeah,
Yeah.
offensive line definitely was a weird situation because mainly you look at the Senior Bowl recently. This season it was all players from pretty much every position group for Cincinnati except for offensive line. The projected drafted players, you got quarterback, wide receiver, running back. And then you go on the other side, you've got defensive linemen, you've got linebacker, you've got two corners and a safety, all projected to be drafted. None off the offensive line. And they're all coming back, but if they were at that elite level, you would have, a junior that would leave early, or, a redshirt junior that's coming back who would leave early, and, because he was that dominant. So yeah, it's definitely a place that they need to improve a little bit on, but the future seems pretty bright there under Mike Cummings.
Okay, it's just crazy how you see that one position or that one group is such a big deal, and it's not even a skill issue; it's just a size issue.
Right. No, exactly. And I mean, Alabama, that was where you kind of could tell that, just like you said in the Super Bowl, another second here or there for Dez, another, lane for Jerome Ford here or there. And it could have been a little bit closer of a game, but who knows?
It was more competitive than the Michigan Georgia game.
Yeah. Yeah. I finished up the coverage of the Cincinnati Bama game. And then by the time I got to the next spot to check on the score of that, it was already over. So luckily it was New Year's Eve. So the night wasn't over, but the football watching was kind of, you can put a bow on that one. It's going to be Bama versus Georgia in the national championship.
Yeah. What are your expectations for this upcoming season? You guys have a talented quarterback, Evan Prater.
Yeah.
Got your new line coach. So what do you see happening?
It'll be interesting because for the first time, all since Luke Fickell's tenure, you've got kind of question marks as far as like leadership and who's going to step up. Because Desmond Ridder was the easy de facto. He's going to go out and win you a game. He'll figure out a way to win. Kobe Bryant is a absolute. Not only did he win the Thorpe Award, but he's got leadership skills and qualities that make him invaluable as far as just getting the defense together and finding ways to not only shut down his man but convince everyone else on the team that they can shut down theirs too. And it'll be interesting because you have not only is Kobe gone but Sauce is gone on the other side. Those are two cornerback spots that were just complete blankets all season. Now you've got young players who have a lot of promise, but they're going to come in and you're replacing two. I mean, quarterback's a hard position to play. That's where you can really let up some big gains by opposing teams through the air, and when you take that away, we'll see what the defense is able to do beyond that. And also, you had the elite pass rusher gone, but then of course it all dwindles back to quarterback. Like you said, Prater is the highest rated recruit in program history, but he has not taken any meaningful snaps. They did bring back Ben Bryant, who was the backup of Des Ritter for his first 3 seasons, Ritter's first 3 seasons. So he was at Eastern Michigan. He transferred back, and he's going to bring a lot of competition with Prater during spring practice. But that'll be really the biggest time is spring practice, seeing who rises up to the occasion, who kind of wants to make a name for themselves, because there's a lot of opportunity. But I mean, you're talking about a lot of opportunity for these players that were some of the highest rated recruits in program history. So, there's a lot of talent there. It's just
Mhm.
getting them ready and having them go out. But at Arkansas is week 1. We'll know a lot by then after the trip to Arkansas how this team looks. But I'm optimistic that they have a chance to win the AAC again. I have no reason to think they don't. Um,
Okay.
the winner of the competition between Prater and Ben Bryant that's a high level quarterback, because Ben Bryant was very good. He had a good season at Eastern Michigan, but he was just behind the third most wins at the quarterback position
Right.
in Desmond Ritter in college football history. So it's kind of hard to knock the man for not being able to start for Cincinnati. But now he has a chance to come back, and I don't know. We'll see. I anytime that Luke Fickell is in the room, and he's got all these high level players that are now hungry to prove themselves after the first flush of all these really talented now future NFL players are out of the way. I think it's gonna be a good season. AAC doesn't scare me too much. Uh, I mean, you're looking at Houston, maybe UCF.
Mhm.
Aside from that, there's really a lot of question marks on who can step up in that league next year. So um, we'll
Yeah.
see. But
Houston did look very good last year, so they could be
yeah, yeah,
competition.
yeah, exactly. They got humming as the season progressed, so there's no doubt.
If you could guess, who do you think will win the quarterback battle?
Too early to tell, and I hate giving you that answer, but you literally just what you had in Ben Bryant before. He knows the offense. New offensive coordinator Gino Gaduli was the
Yeah.
quarterbacks coach the previous season, so Ben knows the offense. Prater's got abilities with his legs that not many other quarterbacks in the country have. So um, it'll be interesting to see if Prater can get his passing mechanics down to the point where he's completing the passes that Gino Gaduli wants. Because on the flip side, Ben Bryant can complete all those passes, but does he have that dynamic ability to, kind of pick up first downs on the ground with his legs, or the playmaking ability to go out and just win football games in other ways than just being able to drop, balls and buckets and things of that sort. So spring practice is going to be a doozy, because you'll get your first glimpse of how these guys look with these wide receivers, and under Gino, who is a big time. I mean, he's the most decorated passer in Cincinnati history. Him and Dez are like kind of 1 and 2, but yeah, I think it'll. I'll If you ask me again after spring practice, I'd give you a better guess. But as of now, it's a complete 50-50 split.
All right, I'm gonna have to ask you again after spring practice then.
There we
But
go. There
no,
we go.
that's very fair. Baylor has two quarterbacks of our own. Um, Obviously Jerry Bohannon and Blake Shapen, and I couldn't tell you who would win that battle either. So